A community really is about celebrating diversity.
A great community, definitely culture, and people that are open to learn about other people's cultures.
You know, it's good for a community to reach out to people that need community.
Some communities look like, oh, this looks like, as you drive through, this looks like it would be like a really community oriented, you know, people would talk to each other and be neighbors, but who knows? It looks that way, but I don't know because I don't live there.
What if we were faced with a new medium, a new network, a new system that connected the people and places of the world in a new way? What if that system is here? What if that time is now?
As a politician in this area called Mountain View, I see every day the evidence of the lack of community, where neighbors don't know each other, don't talk to each other, don't address the issues that are on their minds, whether it's housing or daycare or the healthcare system or the environment. People aren't talking about the issues that they really care about, and the community is weakened by that. Community really is about celebrating diversity. It doesn't mean everybody the same and loving everybody. It does mean coming to grips with differences and responding to those in a constructive way to build a sense that we care about each other, we can resolve differences, we can actually appreciate differences, work together for common goals. Well, there's a tremendously eclectic group of people in this community, and we get out and meet each other a lot because it's a walkable community. There's a lot of residences and apartments around this area. This street, as you can see during this time, is blocked off and there's a lot of interaction. I would like to see it happen maybe once a week or once a month at least, that we block off the street and encourage people to make it more walkable, engage with others, have coffee on the streets, visit with each other, and get to know some of the issues that are important in this province, in this time.
Seeing people in Calgary that come from other places like Toronto and stuff, they tend to say, oh man, everyone here in Calgary, specifically Calgary, is like driven towards money. And when they talk about where they're from, it's like they can just have a conversation on the train with anyone they want. But people here are just kind of, you know, we're all individualists, independent, and we just want to do our own things.
I lived in Africa, where community is just a natural part of life, as in people don't necessarily have to practice it, it just is. Whereas I've noticed that sometimes you have to work a bit harder, maybe say here in Canada, to make communities happen.
A bad community. I definitely have to say people that stay in their homes all day, people that are scared to interact with others. I mean, we all have to learn from each other. If you stay in your house all day, you're not gonna accomplish anything for the community.
Me and my wife had a chance to go to London a couple years ago, and every neighborhood, like as soon as it's a sunny day, everybody's out in the parks. Whereas it's a sunny day in Calgary and you go by any green space, for the most part it's empty. Kensington's kind of unique in Calgary, at least in my experience. But in London there's tons of Kensington neighborhoods. Every neighborhood's like a Kensington. So we were like, well, what would it take for Calgary to become like that? And maybe it would, you know, the stop of the suburban sprawl. Maybe it would take, you know, what's happening in certain areas of like Inglewood where there's redevelopment going into there. But at the same time, too, you don't necessarily want to see development come in and push out all the eccentric people in a community, because that's part of what gives a community its charm. I know Kensington, you know, or Inglewood or 17th or some of those areas might be really different 3 or 4 years down the road if, you know, low income housing keeps getting replaced by condos. So, you know, I wouldn't, although I'm very much into the revitalization of older neighborhoods, I don't necessarily want that to come at the expense of the smaller stores, the family-run stores that are there, or, you know, at the expense of housing for people that might not be able to afford a condo or, you know, a high-cost home. But at the end of the day, if you love your neighbor, it's hard not, it's almost impossible for community not to happen because you're interacting, and that's always the first step. A relationship is the first step to any community.
A good community, in my opinion, is people who support everyone around, share what they have, and not be greedy or stingy or assholes to those that they look down upon.
Someone who's isolated or marginalized, in a way I think they still have community, but it's just really poor quality community, very low resource, low contribution community, as opposed to just a really well-functioning community.
Well, if you're looking at community perspectives from the fact of problem solving, the first thing has got to be, if we look at it, is a shared vision, a shared understanding of what community is and what the challenges are that face us. If you could look at issues like loneliness, disconnectedness, oftentimes they're connected to poverty issues. And people living in poverty should be government's priority, either how to give them opportunities to get out of poverty or by making sure they're at least getting a meal and some housing and some things like that, some basics. And, once those things are those opportunities are sort of given, I think people share that they make for themselves connections in the community. We all have to have a shared understanding of what is we want to accomplish, and that's sometimes very difficult to get that thought process going. What is the zeitgeist of the day?
A community where people are mixing it up, old, young, from different backgrounds, from different sociological backgrounds, from different economic backgrounds. I think those are the most rewarding communities because you have a lot of different voices and people coming from a lot of different places.
In Africa, relationships are priority. People are the priority. So it just happens, people will put a person or a relationship above all other things. So if a community can possibly create that here in Canada, I think it would be also possible to have that situation here. If we would make relationships our priority.
I think that there's a lot of people who are realizing how important it is to have community and would even see that as times get more difficult in the future, that community will be more important for your support system.
What if that system is here? What if that time is now?